Do that after the pledge. Good evening. I'd like to call to order the special meeting of the Green Bay City Council for Tuesday, November 15th. If you could please press your aye and confirm button.
Twelve are present, Your Honor.
All right. Good, we're all here. All right, if you'd now please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, clerk, we can proceed.
Appointment by the mayor, interim finance director, comptroller, effective November 16th, Diana Ellenbecker.
So a motion to approve by Alderman Tom DeWayne, seconded by Alderman Dave Nenning. Discussion here. If you'd please use the board for this. This is bringing Diana as an interim vote. All right, and that's unanimous. Thank you. Congratulations, Diane.
Your Honor, if I may, can we take up number 2? It'll take 1 second.
Okay.
I believe the first one will take longer.
All right, so we have a motion by Alderman DeWayne to suspend the rules to take up item 2 next. There's a second by Alderman Randy Scannell. All in favor of suspending the rules to take up item 2, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those nays. Ayes have it, and item 2 is now on the agenda. Clerk?
Reports for council action. Report of the special meeting of the Protection and Welfare Committee held November 14th, 2016.
Move to approve. Second.
All right, there's a motion by Alderman Tom DeWayne, second by Alderman Joe Moore, to approve the report of the special meeting of the Protection and Welfare Committee held on November 14th. Are there any items in here you wish to handle separately or discuss now? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of that motion and second, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the report of the special meeting of the Protection and Welfare Committee for November 14th has been approved.
Report of the special meeting of the Redevelopment Authority held November 14th, 2016.
All right, there's a motion to approve by Alderman Randy Scannell, seconded by Alderman Joe Moore.
Point of order.
Yes, Alderman Zima?
There were 2 things on that agenda.
Hang on, I'll get you late. What were, I thought their meeting was,
Well, where is it on the report here? Doesn't say here. I have 2 things regarding this, but first of all, I mean, the whole report isn't on our agenda here tonight. I don't know, I'm looking at the one you put on our desk. This is supposed to be the updated one.
well, what I have is to approve the term sheet with Lexington Realty.
Well, the agenda that I have for this special meeting was, number 1 was unfinished business consideration, possible action on communication from Alderman Nicholson to have the city renegotiate the East Town Mall project.
Okay?
Here it is. It's on their agenda, but it's not on our agenda tonight. They handled it. It's an incomplete report is what I'm saying.
No, I don't. Alderman Nicholson asked that they renegotiate the term sheet with Lexington. He asked the RDA that. Right, they received that and placed it on file,
That's right, it was part of the report.
and then they just took up the old report and approved it again, because there was nothing to negotiate.
What are you talking about, Your Honor? It's right here. That was the first thing on the agenda. And they received it and placed it in file. You're correct about that, but how come it's not on our agenda here tonight? How come it's not part of the report?
It's not- If you talk about it, it should be on this one too, not the,
Okay.
it should be on.
Well, I think it was moot, but why, is there a reason that it's not on there, or did,
What-
hang on.
Sure. So at the meeting, this was actually referred, and then the RDA looked at it at their previous meeting. They made a motion, a second, to receive and place on file. They didn't vote on it, so that's why it was placed as unfinished business here. And the motion, again, was to receive and place on file. Motion seconded, voted on. In terms of specifically not being on this report, I guess we had looked at it being an RDA action that maybe didn't get reported out to council. I guess maybe just to put Attorney Chavez on the spot, whether or not this needs to be part of the report, or this can be reported out the next council meeting, or doesn't need to be reported out in terms of if it's going to RDA and it's received and placed on file, does the RDA have to report that back to council if it was directed to the RDA? And again, receive and place on file, there's no action, or that was the action.
So it should have been placed on the report. However, because it is not an action item and RDA does not report to this council, it's kind of a no harm, no foul situation. I would recommend that it be placed on the next report, though, just so that it's clear that it's fully disposed of.
Is there a way to add it legally under the report now?
But it's all part of the same thing. It's not a different subject. Well, Vanessa, I think you should give us a ruling on that. We can incorporate that into this report because it is all one and the same, or we can dispose of it, but there was no action taken yesterday, and we'll dispose of it at our next meeting on the 6th. I mean, that's up to you. It doesn't change what we're doing here tonight.
I would recommend taking it up on the next meeting and reporting it out as fully disposed of at that one. And this one, I don't see a problem with taking up the individual item.
Well, Your Honor, I feel that's a very debatable item. There's many people that feel what Alderman Nicholson was requesting is maybe what should be done, and it's worthy of discussion. And it pertains to the item we have here today. And actually, the item we have here today, I don't know why it's here today. That was referred once, defeated 7-5 once, and it was not reconsidered at our last meeting. And all of a sudden, it just appears. No communication from the council. Just magically appears on an agenda. A special meeting's called and it magically appears without any reference. There's been no new communication. It's actually asking for reconsideration of something that the reconsideration has already passed. It would have to start out as a new communication. It would have to be something a little bit different than what it was. This is bringing back the exact same thing after the period for reconsideration has already passed. So I'm telling you that I don't think this meeting is even kosher here today. We called the meeting. Somebody wants to put in communication, I guess they could, but I'd like to know on what authority this is even before us here tonight.
Well, I got some calls from, I didn't really get the calls, but Mr. Duane and Alderman Stoyer wanted
Yeah,
to
those are-
revisit this.
Yeah, those are people that wanted to reconsider it, only
Right.
they were past the reconsideration period. So they'd have to bring it in as a new communication. This is illegal on its face here tonight. This did not follow any normal protocol.
Okay, hang on one second, I don't know about that.
Just because a couple guys want to change their mind a couple weeks after, it's already, or week after it's been disposed of already.
Well, they had asked us to reconsider and go back to the developer, and we did, and he said no. And we need to bring that to you.
Well, you didn't even report that out, so.
Okay.
That hasn't been reported out, all highly irregular here. But I tell you,
Well, it was reported at the RDA.
push going, it doesn't matter. Rules, regulations don't mean anything. I guess, during this was not the subject of reconsideration. That passed at our last meeting. This came after our last meeting. Not even before us, and I make a motion that we adjourn this meeting and go through the proper protocols, handle things. People just don't get to reconsider after the fact. You look puzzled, Your Honor.
No, I'm not. Not at all.
You know what I'm saying is true, though, don't you? How are we gonna fuzzy this one around?
Look, I think Alderman Zima, it was publicly noticed at the RDA that we were taking up this subject again. And you were told at the RDA, hang on, let me finish. The developer is done. And so they said, well, we'll pass the same thing. We're not going to change it. We're not going to modify it. We're going to pass the same thing and send it to council. And here we are.
Sorry, you can't wiggle that way.
I'm not trying to wiggle anything. I'm telling you exactly what happened. You were standing right next to me.
The reconsideration of our action was at our last council meeting. There was no notification of reconsideration, and it was not on our last agenda. And at that point, it could be referred, it could be done anytime.
He put a communication in at the end of the meeting, Alderman Nicholson did, to revisit the Lexington agreement. Which we did. All right,
Yes, he did do that. And of course, supposedly, it was said that they weren't interested in renegotiating, but that doesn't bring this to us here tonight. He was asking for renegotiation. He wasn't asking to reconsider, to put this on the agenda at our last meeting. I think it's out of order, but I'll yield the floor at this time to yourself and the attorney, because I think, you want to move ahead, I think it's kind of stupid, because the assessor's office isn't even going to reanalyze this till after the first of the year. At least that's what they tell me, that's when they do it. Once a year, so there's no values, there's no chance for an increment even. So, as a practical
part
matter,
of this.
I don't know what we got it here tonight for, why we're having a special meeting of really an illegal action by two of our members.
All right, well, thank you. Let me get Vanessa, and then I do want to comment on this again.
Yes, Mayor, so this is not a reconsideration. Alderman
Right.
Zima is correct that this would not fall under, or would not qualify. However, RDA can agree to put stuff onto its agenda. If something is introduced or requested, it is brought new. The fact that it is similar to something I have checked Robert's rules does not preclude it from appearing again. It just has to go through the same channels that it went through before, meaning it has to be reconsidered and brought back to this board.
Well, I've never had that happen since I've been here. Gotta have some new communication or something, and it's gotta be something substantially different than what was there. Time for reconsideration passed.
Well, I think, right, I want to, Alderman Dwayne wants to speak. It is. He did, you'll agree, he put in a communication to renegotiate this agreement.
Nicholson asked,
Yes. You agree to that?
yeah, that isn't even on our agenda.
So that went back to the RDA. Nothing was successful with the renegotiation. The only thing they said was if it passes before the end of the year, if it passes at this time, we may still be interested, so we are bringing it back. Nothing has changed. You're right. But it was not a reconsideration. It was, you have sent stuff, this is the third time you've sent this back for renegotiation, and the guy said, enough is enough. So it's back here as it was 2 weeks ago. You're right. It wasn't a reconsideration because we went back and tried.
Reconsideration passed,
Pardon me?
failed. It failed. It's separate. To go back and renegotiate.
And that passed.
Your Honor, if you want to debate, I'll sit down.
It wasn't a matter.
Okay,
I'll step up there.
well, I just want to move this
We can
along.
continue,
All right, fine.
But you're not doing it.
Okay.
It wasn't debated. It was a communication, a late communication. And it was, received and placed on file, and that didn't even appear on our agenda here today. So you don't even have that to legitimize anything. It's not on the agenda. And what you have on the agenda isn't any legaler than the man on the moon.
Yeah.
As a practical matter, there's no reason why patient and look at it at our next meeting.
You ready?
Well, if you're ready, I'll
Okay.
be ready for 5 minutes.
Alderman Dwayne?
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. When Alderman Nicholson brought in that motion, I understood that he wanted us to renegotiate. I immediately went to Dr. Bonk, and we talked at length of what, through the discussion from Alderman Zima and others, what they were looking for and what they thought we should be doing. And I presented that to them. There was an offer at one point that we would offer to pay for the demolition. And they felt that they couldn't proceed with just that. And through many calls, discussions, even the night of our budget meeting, I had asked Dr. Bonk to send a message back and forth, and he did that. At the end, the difference of when we were last presented to now is I told him we wanted to spell out exactly where that money was going. That $1 million was agreed upon for demolition. $1 million was agreed upon if library comes in, and that was negotiable, that the cinema would be taken out and that would be brought in for the library. And then, of course, the $1 million at the end. So there is a difference. The only difference is the explanation of where the money's going to and what we're doing. Now, I had asked them to put this on the agenda, and then I asked for a special meeting because we are already having one, well, she left, but for the old Reds for protection and welfare, and I thought, we're having a special meeting, this would be a perfect opportunity to bring it forward. I was never against this project, but I understood and I agreed with Alderman Nicholson and Alderman Zima, hey, let's try to see if we can renegotiate on something. And it didn't change anything, I know that, but I know for a fact that the people in District 2 have been asking me for 12 years, when are we gonna get something on our side? I can tell you this, we gave a lot more to Festival Foods, and that passed 12-0. So I don't know why we're trying to destroy an opportunity to really make something energize the east side. We just passed Cub Foods, and we got a similar project in East Town Mall that's gonna bring more energy, and we have more opportunities with the size of that lot to make things happen. So the difference is, it was the same outcome, but it spelled out what we're doing with the money with. And nothing was gonna change. And I told Alderman Nicholson nothing was gonna change, but I was bringing this forward, and he understood that, and everybody's got a right to vote this up or down. So to say that legally we can't do this or nothing like that, well then, you know, if we gotta do the communication, and it's not gonna matter, because 100% same thing's gonna happen. I still wanna see this go forward. This is something that's gonna help us. There was probably 4 or 5 things through the last 3 or 4 years, especially the last 2 years, that we voted on, that we actually gave more money to. Now, I can't be exact, but I know Festival Foods got a lot better deal than this, and it passed 12-0, I believe. So, why we want to destroy this project, I don't know. I was for it from the beginning. I voted to hold up because of honoring, as we all should, when we have more than 2 or 3 aldermen that would say, hey, let's look into this. I feel that as a council, we should uphold that and stop fighting some of this stuff. But this is clearly something that's gonna help my district for the first time in 12 years. We have some good things that happen in Industrial Park, a couple of things. But we have opportunity to see this happen and to get more growth. There's a lot of, the east side is a real push. The only growth area in Green Bay that's with the Grandview area, what's going up in there, the possibilities of bringing new homeowners in. And if they see these places going in, they're gonna say, finally. We have a perfect opportunity. 41 I-43 comes right into East Mason, right into that project. And what's going on with University Avenue, you follow around, it comes right into University Avenue. So the gateway is there for surrounding Green Bay area. So I don't know, if we did this wrong, it's illegal, I apologize, I did it. I was the one that asked for the communication, I'm the one that worked with Dr. Bont, and I was the one that,
My point of order is, but it's not pertaining to. Come through it. Or something tonight. Give more time to vet it all. I've gone to the assessor's office, found information about the whole affair that I don't know. But, I'm just pointing out, is this how we do business? It's not how we do business. This was
All right.
proceeded lock, stock, and barrel and not reconsidered.
No,
So it
did-
means it has
yeah,
to
just,
start over.
Bill, yeah, it was renegotiated. Okay.
The renegotiation isn't even on our agenda.
Yeah,
This is totally procedurally incorrect.
Okay.
Everything about this meeting.
All
That's
right.
because there's some people trying to rush things through.
Alderman Moore.
Thanks, Your Honor. The language in the term sheet is different from when the RDA first saw it. And with the communication that Alderman Nicholson put in to renegotiate the East Town Mall project, the new term sheet had to be presented. Many times we make communications and staff takes care of it before we meet in committee and has the answers for us at committee. And I believe that's what happened here. Alderman Nicholson put in the communication, the phone calls were made, the terms were discussed, this is what we're coming back and reporting out. I don't see any problem with having this in front of us. The language has changed from the first time the RDA had it. The language has changed from the last time the council had it. This is not the same exact term sheet. The terms, the finances are the same, but there's a lot more explanation in here on where this money is going and what it's being used for in the project. Secondly, there's nothing in new business. It does not say reconsideration anywhere. It says consideration, not reconsideration, with possible action on the requests to approve a term sheet with Lexington Realty International. The RDA takes up many, 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 many items, and I don't want to get into percentages, but there are very, very few items the RDA takes up that comes through as a communication. I can't think of the last one that the RDA got as a communication that got reported back to council. This is standard operating procedure here. If something is not reported out, the RDA doesn't report every item out to council. Action that they take doesn't need to be unless we're looking at term sheets and development agreements. Look, 2000, and to Alderman Duane's point, 2010 redistricting showed a huge population shift to the east side and caused all the districts to shift. And, we're only a few years away from doing that again. And we need to stay ahead of it. The development over there is important. We've seen some good things happen, and I think that it means a lot that the council president, the council vice president, the mayor, basically the leaders of our city are getting behind a project, and they're trying to push it and make it happen. I really don't see anything procedurally wrong because of the involvement of the RDA in this, and I hope that we will move forward and push it along. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Nicholson?
Thanks, Mayor. For the record, what is on the agenda that's legal?
Well, what's on the agenda is to approve the report of the special meeting of the redevelopment authority. And when you look at that, the report they had on Monday, November 14th, was to approve the term sheet with Lexington Realty. And that's all the supplemental information down to 1I.
So is this proper protocol? That's my question to our attorney.
Okay.
Or does Zima have a point? I mean, do we have to clean this up, have another meeting, or?
I want her to answer.
Well, I wasn't done with my question yet.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, is Zima right? Does this have to be cleaned up and brought back through committee with proper procedure? Or is this proper protocol? Because Mr. Moore stated that this is different, but the terms are the same, but it just had more explanation. Well, okay, it should have had explanation to begin with, but if the terms are the same, I mean, help us out, Vanessa, please.
Yes, absolutely. So there are two separate issues. One is whether or not the issue of your communication should have been included on the report. There, it should have. However, the fact that this other item appears on the report does not, it's properly before this council. There is no doubt on that. It does not have to go through the same channels because it did go to RDA first. It wasn't actually a committee of the council because RDA is separate. And so RDA putting on its agenda is what properly put it before the council. And so them reporting it out for action is proper. Now, the other issue of whether or not the communication of yours needs to be cleaned up, yes, it does. And my recommendation on that one is to bring it as part of the next report that's brought up. This way we can finally, or you guys have the closure on what actually happened with your communication.
Okay, so did the RDA make an official vote on my consideration? They received it and placed on file, correct?
Correct.
What about the new business?
New business was fully disposed of. They approved it.
They did? How come it doesn't say it right here then?
The
Just says
recommendation was to
consider-
approve.
But it's not on the agenda. Where?
It says to approve.
All right. So, okay, thanks, Dave, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all I have. Okay, where's that now? I got three different special meeting agendas here. Which one are we looking at? Why do we have three? Who does this? I mean, who gave us three? Was it is someone, I mean,
I don't know.
why do we have an issue here? No, why do we have an issue?
Yeah, hang on. We'll give you an answer.
Can someone
Yeah,
help
what
me
is it?
out? I mean, I got three different agendas here. Chris, could you help me out?
Yep, the first one came out, and then they decided to add the interim appointment. And then, so that was just the one that went out to the media
This
to,
is the first one, okay?
and then there's one that just has an amendment in addition with Diana Ellenbecker on it. And then the last one combines everything so that you had it all in one spot tonight.
All right. It's confusing, but
All right.
okay, thank you.
All right, Alderman Vanderleest?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to know who does the negotiations of the redevelopment? Who's the person that actually doing the negotiation with the final on the finance? Who's the person that does that? And what kind of minutes do they have on that? If they talked about different amount of money, they're starting out, in other words, they have all the money listed here, 2 million up front and all that. Who actually done the negotiation, and was there any minutes kept of that negotiation? Did we make any proposals as far as cutting those figures from what was presented?
I think we mentioned last time, their first ask was $4 million. That is done, Dr. Vonk does a lot of that. We have a development team with our finance director, our attorney, myself, Grenier, Dawn, who's in those meetings, and,
Was there any communications as far as that was record that we could see? It was actually, what was actually talked about?
well, Kevin may have some notes on that, but no.
We're never informed about anything.
Well, I'm asking is, what kind of, in other words, Mr. Nicholson asked for a renegotiation.
Right, and we went there and the guy said, no, we're done.
Okay.
Don't,
So in other words, they're not willing to bend one
No.
iota.
no. Well, look, it's not like this is the first kick at the cat, okay?
I understand that.
All right, so
But on the
we
main-
went down, we got the best deal we feel we could get, and you guys said, you know what, it ain't good enough. So we went back to them and they said, we're done. So here we are tonight. If you vote it down, that's fine.
Okay. The reason I say that is they're asking $1 million. In other words, if the library, were that part there, the library's not a shoe-in there at
No.
this point. So, you know, that's,
That's why they have to come back.
With something. They have to come back with a whole development agreement.
It's gonna stick to the subject.
I mean, we should maybe wait till we do a little bit more research on it, I'd say.
Well, Mr. Van Lish, I don't want to talk too much because she doesn't like that, but this is a term sheet. This is a framework. You passed 2 term sheets last week. It gives us some indication from the council that under these terms, we could get comfortable with this. Now, these terms call for a library or something like that in that area that's going to be hard to sell. We need to do that, but we'll at least know that, look, this is the direction we need to go. And we need to get a tax value of 13 million. If these guys come in at 6, you're not going to approve this because these terms laid out a framework. And we're going to go working on this for the next 6, 9, well, hopefully not that long, but 3 months, 4 months. And then we'll come back here with a development agreement. But we don't know where to go with this project. We thought it was dead, and we were okay with that.
Thank you.
Alderman Nicholson, did you want to speak again?
Just,
Hang on.
I feel that this council should move forward. I mean, if we're under the legality, which is legal from our attorney here with her advice, I think we should move forward and talk about what's on the agenda then,
Yeah.
instead of, we're just like in quicksand here. I mean, I want to ask the mayor to take some leadership, please.
Good.
And move this forward. Let's, if this is illegal meeting, so be it. If it's legal, let's move forward.
Wouldn't be here
Make-
if
make
it
a
was an
decision,
illegal
please.
meeting. So there's a
Thank you.
motion and a second to approve item 1. And if you want to just use the board, we can vote right now. What is your point?
I'm gonna follow up what Mr. Moore has been trying to do his legal beagle work here, but it's not, it doesn't wash either. Because he now says that, well, this is actually different than the one before. Well, is it or isn't it? And if it is different, well, then it should come under the renegotiation. There was a renegotiation, there were some different terms. So are there different terms or aren't there?
Point of order,
Good.
there's language difference, and all we said was there's a difference in language in a term sheet.
Well, he's saying it's a different document, so we can vote on it as a different document. But if the terms are exactly the same. The terms haven't changed at all. And if it was, well, that would be renegotiation, and that would have fallen under what's been left off our agenda tonight, the renegotiation. They should have said, well, we renegotiated, we've changed some language, and here it is. But that isn't it. This whole thing is irregular. It gets a little more obvious all the time. These people not only want us to give them $3 million of the $3.8 million purchase price, they want us to guarantee them $100,000 in revenue from the government.
They're also
They want us to pay the
$2
rent.
million into the deal.
They want us to pay for the place, and they want us to pay the rent too. They want the government to pay the rent too. Not only pay for it, they want us to pay the rent. I tell you, it's all odd here. This thing is like a reconsideration. This is the same document. It wasn't reconsidered properly. I considered this out of order here tonight, totally out of order. The best you've been able to do is kind of mush-mouth it around here, but it really is out of order. The reconsideration time is gone. The new communication did not come in. There's been no substantial renegotiation of anything. And even if it did, it would have to be brought forward through the committee to the council for approval. And that part isn't even on the agenda. But we can, I guess, we just power things through. Just do whatever we want. We don't have to really be honest with the people, do we? We just do things unvetted all the time. Everything unvetted or very little vetted. But I think this is out of order. Now, if the attorney wants to call it in order, and that this reconsideration that came forward from Mr. Duane and Mr. Stoyer is a legitimate. I don't think it is, because it's after the time for reconsideration. They're asking us to vote on the exact same thing that was rejected and past the time period for reconsideration, so it needs to start all over again. And it has to be something different.
Okay.
There is no such thing as a point of information.
Point of order then. I did try to negotiate through Dr. Bonk different things, offered them different, like I told you, for infrastructure. And we talked back and forth probably 6, 7, 8 times. And they said, this is what they had. I tried something else. It didn't happen. At the end, I asked this to go to RDA. RDA can present this to the council. So if you want to try to, explain it to somebody, explain it to me, because I was the one that asked for it. I mean, I did it properly because I asked, what do I got to do? And at each turn, they told me I did it right. So I made sure. I asked a question, can I do this? And they said yes every time, so.
Who told you you could do it?
I talked to Dr. Vaughn.
Who's Dr. Vaughn?
Oh, come on.
What's he's not a lawyer.
I asked him if I could bring it to the RDA, and he said, of course, RDA, they can hold their own, bring their own, to the council, whatever,
Right.
when you got term sheets on that. And this is
So
term
anything
sheets,
I
all
want-
different language.
From here on in, anytime I want something to be considered by the RDA, I just gotta tell them to put it on the agenda.
I would go and discuss what you had to bring forward.
It's totally irregular. It never happens. It would not happen, period. It's just that it's convenient for the powers that be. And they basically used you to do a little flip around.
I did this
In
on
one
my
day.
own, don't blame anybody else.
I know.
Don't try to tell me, you've been
All right.
doing it long enough.
Yeah.
It all happened last
You're
Friday.
wrong.
Okay, Alderman Scannell?
Your Honor, there's a point raised. If you just rule on that, then we could perhaps.
Vanessa, she said this is appropriate.
I did.
And
So,
so by me continuing, maybe I should clearly say this is appropriate, this is an appropriate motion on the floor that we're going to vote on tonight.
so you've ruled on the point of order?
I have.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to ask the question.
Call the question?
Yes. I call the question.
I haven't done that in a while. To call the question stops debate, and we need 8 people to call the question, or 7? I know. There's 2 lights left. Do you want to hang in there, or do you want to really push through this call to question? Two.
Let's be professional.
Thank you. All right, Alderman Galvin?
Thank you, Your Honor. It's been asked and answered. Okay, we've heard Alderman Duane twice, we've heard Alderman Zima twice, we've heard from the city attorney at least twice. I agree with Alderman Scannell. Let's get done. We've spent enough time on this. We're just spinning our wheels and we're going nowhere. Thank you.
Alderman Dave Nenning?
Thank you. The redevelopment authority met on Monday, and it was a legally noticed meeting, and I believe there were 7 council members there at that point. At that meeting, there was no question raised about the ability of the redevelopment authority to discuss this item and to make another recommendation to the council. We are here to consider the recommendation that the redevelopment authority made on Monday. And I think we've heard from our attorney that there's nothing illegal about this. Maybe there are other ways of bringing something forward, but there's nothing illegal about it. We're all here assembled. The request was put on the redevelopment authority at the request of our council leaders, the council president and vice president. And frankly, I think that means something. So I'm going to make a motion that we proceed with to consider the report of the redevelopment authority. And if you don't agree with it, then vote it down.
All right, so we have that motion. And it's seconded by Alderman Scannell.
What is that motion?
The motion is to approve item 1 of approve item 1 under reports for council action. That's report of the special meeting of our development authority held from November 14th.
It was already approved in the beginning. You asked for approval, it was approved in second, so we just need to vote.
All right. You ready to vote?
No, I've had my light lit.
How many times does the council, it is, just,
Everything was on
that,
point of
that,
order
that.
and questions. We did
Just-
not get into any debate on this thing at all tonight.
Hang on. 40 years, 16 years. I do think we have a rule here, though, that you'd only speak 3 times on an item, and you're there.
An item, all of it was on questioning whether it was legal to be on the agenda. That's what we've been discussing to this minute.
Okay, we all agree to that. We ready for 10 minutes? All right, Alderman Zima, you got
What's
the
our
floor.
time limit? Could you establish?
It's 5 minutes. I got the stopwatch right here. And it's good. Ready? Begin.
Well, the developer and the mayor evidently are putting us on a rush act here. I stopped at the assessor's office and I learned that this property went into receivership and a sheriff's deed was given on the 22nd of January this year. And as a coin-appointed receiver. Evidently, they owed the bank about $9,800,000, something in that neighborhood, from the best I can get from the assessor's office. And of course, at this point in time, evidently the bank would be amenable to any offers. It'd be a short sale, from the best I can figure out. But this has not been on the market very long. Things have to fail. Why the city of Green Bay should put up $3 million on a $3.8 million purchase price, practically buying it for them, and giving it to them to develop, I find is a little beyond the pale. The part of the mall that is operating right now, the assessors tell me, that parcel is adequately assessed at about $4.4 million. Just the land value of the entire property is assessed, and there's no way that the land would be worth any less, is $2,740,000. So they're picking it up for less than the land value. And we think we have to give them this kind of a subsidy. Is this the precedent we're going to set in the city of Green Bay? That every troubled property can come to the city? I think this has to be reviewed. I think it's an outrageous amount of money. I think it's wrong for it. I think procedurally we're incorrect here today, to say the least. But certain people want to push things through. And I think the market should decide what happens here. I don't think the city of Green Bay, heck, the federal government, everybody from them on down is broke. We have to borrow this money, of course, to speculate on this. And of course, it's gone into receivership once already. Who says it's not going to continue? But I mean, I think whoever is going to do something with that property. The market is the market. If they can't make it go purchasing it for 3.8 million, then the price is still too high. The price is too high. But the bank is stuck with it, and of course, this is them taking less, I guess. Some bank in Dallas, Texas. That's who you're helping out today. So, I will not vote for this. I don't think it should be on here. I think this sets a very dangerous precedent. And I don't think the city should be involving taxpayers' money in this type of speculation. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Vanderleest, did you have anything else you wanted to say about this particular item?
Yes, I think that, I put in a communication that the RDA would take back some of the, amounts that they're giving. If we were in a 10 to 15% range, if they're asking for 3 million, that would be 300,000 at 10%. And that would be a very attractive offer. And I think that we just can't have an open checkbook. And people that are coming in, they know their business, believe me. If we'll give them, they'll take all we got to give. They'll take it all. And if they go on a bankruptcy, they just walk away, and we'll be sitting with another big bill. So myself, I feel that we have to look it over much closer. We can't give out these kind of subsidies. Basically, it's government welfare program on this kind of situation. Would you want to put any of your personal money in there yourself? I wouldn't, personally. It wouldn't be a sound deal. A bank wouldn't jump in and say, yeah, well, they're getting it for this, and we're going to hand them $3 million. We're going to give them another $3 million. Not a good idea. Not a good idea for our tax dollars. We got to borrow the money, and then we got to hope that everything rolls, everything goes. I would say that this is not a good deal for the city of Green Bay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Alderperson Barb Dorf.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm just very pleased that this is coming back to the City Council. I think that it's an opportunity for economic development on the east side, the far east side, which is near my district. I think it's a very good use of our funds that we are putting in to encourage this development, and I'm very supportive of this development. Thank you.
Thank you. And Alderman Nicholson, last slide.
Thank you, Mayor. My questions are towards the library. I'm just concerned with that. What is the process, or what's going to take place if this term sheet is accepted? What's going to be the process of approaching the library? Is it the library board that makes a decision, the county board that makes a decision? Which one is it?
I would think you would know that.
Well, I have no information on that. Do you have any information on that, Mayor?
It's the Brown County Library.
Well, what do you know? Because I don't know. Mr. Duane, do you know anything?
Yeah, the county board will make that decision.
The county board will?
Yes.
Not the
No,
library
county
board?
County board has to make the decision whether or not we accept the agreement.
Okay, you sure about that?
Yes.
Okay. And how much is the county going to be paying every year?
I didn't see the details on it.
Pardon?
I didn't see the details on it all.
I haven't either. I would think the residents of Brown County would know, or should know.
Sure.
Shouldn't they?
The developer said $200,000. $8 a square foot. Plus build out.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I get it from Zima, I get it from Moore. Mayor, do you know?
$8 a square foot.
They're currently being involved.
Okay. Well, no, I want to hear from the mayor or Kevin. So what happens with the downtown library?
That's not the-
It has nothing to
that's
do,
not the
no, I want to hear from the mayor. Please, I mean,
Well, I
everybody's
know,
chiming in.
you're on the county board. You represent that
Well,
district. I think those are
You did-
questions.
Yeah,
for
but you were in negotiation on this, correct?
The
You
east
you were on the
side of
negotiation
Green
team,
Bay.
so I want to know about the library.
Yeah. The east, well, you should be.
No,
the
I don't should,
spokesperson
because this
you-
hasn't been approached
it's
to
your
us yet.
district. Well, you should be fighting for a library whether it's approached to you or not, but I think we
First,
need a
I
better
gotta
library.
ask questions.
I think we need a better library on the east side of Green Bay.
Okay, so what happens to one downtown?
I think we need a strong library in the downtown.
Okay, so we need 2 libraries, you're saying?
Do we have 2 now?
We have a satellite out there, a very small satellite.
Right.
Is this gonna be a
Is that-
large satellite at $200,000 a year? I don't know. I mean, these are my questions. I can't get answers?
I can answer, but he doesn't want me to answer.
No, I want to hear from the mayor. He was on the negotiation team.
Yeah, I think we need better services on better county services on the east side of Green Bay. Whether it be, this becomes 100% a library, if we move some of the ADRC into that.
But
I
are
think the
they?
county can do
Are
a
they
better
going to
job.
transfer the services to the far east side from the downtown?
Are we gonna transfer library services from the downtown to the east side? There's enough people on the east side to, you look at the library you built in De Pere or Howard. It's 20,000 people that live
I
there.
don't remember building that. I think you were on the county board at that time, Mayor. I wasn't.
Okay.
I mean, we have the internet. I mean, how many people actually use the library anymore? But anyway, so we're expanding, or we're going to be expanding services then? Is that?
That is a
what's gonna happen?
possibility of
Okay, it's a
expanding
possibility.
county services in this new location. That is a
Okay.
possibility, Alderman Nicholson.
Okay. Okay, so if the county board, here's a scenario, Mayor. If the county board decides not to, what happens then?
Well, no matter what, this project is gonna come back to you for your full approval.
I know that.
Okay.
But
And you're saying
as
that-
part of the negotiation team, you should know in
No,
case
let me
X
finish.
doesn't, okay.
If one of the tenants doesn't come through, if the county library doesn't come through, it would be incumbent upon the developer to find someone else and bring that back.
Okay. So it's on the developer that will be approaching for a new business or a new tenant,
Yes, sir.
and then come back to us then?
That's correct.
Okay, just wanted to, that was one of my questions, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, that's all I have for now.
All right,
Thanks,
thank
Mayor.
you. All right, that's all I have for lights. If you could use the board, please. This is the report for council action, report of the special meeting of the redevelopment authority, and that's the meeting they held on the 14th. Yep, it's all roll called. Okay, and that passes by a vote of 8-3. Thank you for that. We will get
Motion to adjourn?
by Alderman Nicholson, second by Alderman Scannell. All in favor of adjournment, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those nay. We are adjourned. Happy Thanksgiving. I mean, Tom, you know more about this than anybody. We gotta get a test. Vanessa, we'll get into these things where they challenge the chair. The county loves doing that. They haven't done that. Have they done that here? Challenge if I rule something in order out, then they challenge the chair? Okay, so they haven't done that yet.
Okay, now which way do you go?
Well,